Ronnie in Holiday, Tennessee. Hey, Ronnie, what's up?
I was just wondering if you didn't think the government wasn't infringing on our rights enough as it is now, wanting doctors to know what's in my house. It's nobody's damn business what's in my house.
Well, wait a minute.
Especially the federal government.
Wait a minute. Ronnie, you got it backwards. There is no law that says anything about doctors talking to you or your kids about guns. There's no law. There is no government interference whatsoever between your doctor and you and your child. And if you want to say to your doctor, I don't want you talking to my son about guns, you can say that. There's no law. What the NRA wants to do is they want to pass a law. They want to create more government. In fact, they want a bureaucracy to administer this. And they want this law to inform doctors that they are not allowed to speak to children about guns. And if they find out that doctors are speaking to children about guns, they want to fine them. And if the doctors don't pay the fines, they want to put them in jail. Now, that sounds to me like Danny state government on steroids, Ronnie.
Well, I like I said, I don't think I know it's nobody's business what I have in my house.
It is if it can kill people.
Doctor, do what?
Wouldn't you want, if you have a child in your house, a young child in your house, and you got rat poison under the sink, wouldn't you want that doctor to say something about don't eat the rat poison?
Well, yeah.
Okay. So what is wrong?
I've got 2 kids.
Rat poison does not kill as many children in the United States as accidental discharge of firearms. So what's wrong with a doctor saying, if you see a gun, don't touch it, go find an adult? Because that's what they say.
Now, I don't know what doctor you go to, but my doctor has never asked my kids what I have in my house.
Yeah, well, my doctor...
And frankly, if he did, I would find me his business. It's none of the government's business, and it's nobody else's business.
No, the government is not involved in this at all, other than reporting the statistic that the second leading cause of death among children is the accidental discharge of firearms. It was ABC's 2020, by the way, that did that show, where they just had a gun sitting in a room, and they let children come and sit in the room and wait for an adult. And there was a one-way glass, and there was a bullet, but it was not one that you could fire. It was a dead round in the chamber. And a third of the kids picked up, was it a third or a half of the kids picked up the gun and pulled the trigger? And in many cases pointing it at somebody else because, hey, they thought it was a toy. They didn't realize it was a real gun. Ronnie, this is a real public health problem. And it's entirely appropriate that doctors discuss public health stuff. This is their job.
You need to put the blame where the blame goes, and that's on the parents. I've been around guns all my life. I've got 2 kids. I taught them from a very early age that guns are not to play with.
Right.
Both of them are very expert shooters.
But if you've got, but Ronnie, if there's a guy next door who literally lives next door to you, and he's got kids the same age as your kids, and your kids are young, and he's a fool, and he leaves loaded guns sitting around, and he has never had a conversation with his children about what to do if you see a gun, would you want your children to play with that kid?
No.
Okay. Do you think it would be a good idea if that kid's doctor asked him, do you know what a gun is? Do you have a gun laying around the house?
That's not for that doctor to decide that. That's for his parents.
But we're talking about parents who are fools, because there are lots of parents in this country who are fools.
I agree.
Okay.
Then if you don't teach your kids gun safety, if you own a gun,
then your kid is going to die. But here's the problem. More often than not, it's not your kid who dies. Not speaking of you, because you've taught your children gun safety. But it's not the dumb parent who doesn't teach their child gun safety whose child dies. It's the friend of the dumb parent who doesn't teach their child gun safety who dies, because it's that uneducated kid who picks up the gun, thinks it's a toy, points it at his friend, and pulls the trigger. And that's something that we've got.
Accidents happen. I understand that.
We are, Ronnie, we are 5% of the world's population. We have 50% of the world's civilian-owned guns. We have half of all the guns in civilian hands on the planet in this country. And we are only 300 million people out of 7 billion. And we've got all these guns, And the second leading cause of death behind car accidents is kids accidentally, finding guns and accidentally shooting each other. It seems that somebody needs to be talking to those kids and saying, do you have a gun around the house? If you do and you don't know what to do about it, A, don't touch it, and B, I want to have a talk with your parents. And I don't think, I don't see this as, A, the government's not involved in this at all. This is not big government. This is medicine. A doctor's job is to make sure that your child doesn't die.
We should do like it was when my daddy was in school. My daddy was taught gun safety in school. And you would eliminate a lot of this.
Ronnie, there have been attempts around this country to have this issue, the fact that children are killed accidentally by finding guns, to have that taught in schools, and the NRA and the gun guys oppose that because they say that's the government getting in the business of guns. That's the government warning children about guns. They don't want the government, that would be the school teachers. They see they are opposed to gun education in the schools. So, I mean, you got to understand who the good guys and bad guys are here. You've got an industry that makes billions of dollars a year selling weapons, and they want to sell more and more weapons. They're now marketing these weapons to children. Yesterday, we had a 3-year-old who was killed by his 5-year-old brother who had just gotten a .22 for his birthday. Mom went out in the backyard. She comes back in, the 3-year-old's dead. Nobody realized there was a round in the magazine. I mean, this is the kind of stuff that's going on in America, and we've got to do something about it. Ronnie, we're starting to talk around in circles. Thank you for your call, and thanks for your passion.